how much of what you love is real? I mean, how much actually exists? What if that's a blurred line? What if that line isn't where you think it is? What if the majority of things that you think are real aren't, and you don't care? What if this is the reason why some fictions create entire societies, entire legions of followers, and others just don't? What if it's the reason why fans being violently protective of their characters of their fictions is entirely predictable? Any producer who's ever made fans angry should have known better. Watch this, and you will. Back in the day, this dude called Plato developed a theory about what we call abstract objects. Numbers, shapes, properties, and we've been asking, do they actually exist ever since? Along with questions like, how many gods were there before God created numbers? And did he have to be creative in order to create creativity? And if these things are real, where did they come from? How did they get here? And if not, how can we interact with them as if they're real? And what does any of this have to do with fandom?
Do you want to know?
There's a whole bunch of theories that say pretty much the same thing. That we can treat anything as if it's real as long as we all subscribe to the same belief that it is. It sounds crazy, but we've built our entire culture on that understanding.
Take the sentence, I went to Manchester with my wife and we talked about the moment Sam and Frodo returned to the Shire. Which of those terms is just make-believe? Well, obviously the Shire, but Manchester is just a line on a map that we agree to designate as a place. The land is the land. We either agree on what we call it, or we fight a war over it. And obviously Sam and Frodo aren't physical realities, but neither is the designation wife. She's real, but her status is just something we agreed to believe in.
It's called fictionalism, the practice of useful fictions. Things that aren't really real, but as long as we all act as if they are, it works. And it means there's a lot of hypocrites out there. For instance, why is the description of James T. Kirk on this piece of paper any less real than the number 10 on this one? Which one do people take too seriously? Well, which one would they literally kill over? Your life is ruled by the two biggest useful fictions. The first is money. The concept itself is just a shared belief, but so's the value. These two notes only have different values because we all agree they do. I mean, they're both just ink on paper, and people in a different country will have a different idea altogether on what these things are worth. And speculators make money on nothing other than people changing their minds about what these pieces of paper are worth. They have no intrinsic value. It's all just make-believe. And that make-believe rules your life, along with the law. This shouldn't be a surprise. We literally vote people in every 4 years to make up our laws, a choice we make based on what laws we want to be made up. The law is entirely make-believe, and yet it governs everything you do, as long as you agree to share the fiction. If you don't, you go to jail. Not because the law physically sends you there, but because people who choose to believe in the law do. Fictionalism is powerful. Choosing to treat things as if they're real makes them real in practical ways. So when people learn Klingon, hate to see someone drinking green milk, or shout, "So say we all," is that what's going on? Well, yes, but there's more to it. Are you ready to go deeper? Useful fiction has been a known phenomenon among philosophers for decades, but now fan culture has highlighted something new. Let's call it deep fiction. Humans live on connections. The reasons we defend our loved ones is the same as the reason we defend our culture, our civilizations, our communities. The way we feel about others is important to us. The problem with feelings is they don't always reflect reality. Try this. Close your eyes and think of a time when you were mistreated. That person who lied about you, disrespected you, stole from you. You've probably gone over it many times in your head, right? Played it through over and over. Did you confront them? Remember how it went? If you didn't, I bet you did in your head, right? What did you say when you confronted them in your head?
Eyes open wide awake, and you're back in the room.
How you feeling? Angry? You see, the more time you spend in an angry memory, the more your body will react as if it's really happening. And even if you just imagine an argument that never happened, your body will tense up for a fight. Whether it's really happening or just make-believe, your subconscious doesn't know the difference. And every good fiction depends on that. Star Wars isn't about X-Wings. Harry Potter isn't about magic. You care more about Tony Stark's story than Iron Man's powers. Any movie or TV show, you will love the special effects, enjoy the visuals, get into the music. But if you don't connect to the characters, the people, the humans, you don't love the movie. Like it, maybe, but won't love it unless you connect to the characters as if they're real. When they hurt, you hurt. When they're abused, you're angry. When they succeed, you cheer. When they die, you can feel that like a real person dying. Not only is this fully explainable psychologically, creators deliberately manipulate this, even if they don't know that's what they're doing. They're trying to make you laugh, cry, make you buy in by making you identify with those fictional characters, feel what they feel, like you do with loved ones in your real life. They're trying to make you experience what they experience as if it's happening to you or a loved one. They know that this is what brings you back for the sequel. This is what makes you want to belong. Ultimately, any cinematic universe, like any fiction, depends on this and nothing else. You don't just want to emotionally connect to fictional events, you want to share that connection with others. That's why there's an entire subgenre of react videos, where millions of people spend hours watching others get emotional at fictional content. Why? Because you're built to connect to others, and you're conditioned to seek out cultures to belong to, based on shared myth. You want to find others who love the same characters you love and then share in that reality. Yes, reality. Sure, a fictional reality, but it's not the only one we invest in. Ultimately, this is the basis of fandom. Sure, it's a history of myth culture, but in the end, it's love, shared among like minds. A love that transcends inadequate, narrow definitions of reality that just don't hold up to scrutiny. Let's call these things ingredients. You've got participation, myth, culture, emotion, connection. Put them together, give them a mix. It tastes good. But for something to become a deep fiction, it needs something else. Time. The longer you spend with someone, the more you care about them, the more you identify with what they're going through, and the more protective you are over them. And this applies whether it's a sibling or a character. Your subconscious doesn't discriminate. The 20th century gave us something we've never had before in human history. While historical cultures had drawings and the campfire and plays to tell their stories, movies and TV gave us consistency. The same actors playing the same characters over a long time, starting with the cinema, which had weekly matinee performances of shows like The Lone Ranger. This consistency of faces and names and stories brought fiction more into line with real life, because these fictional characters became more like people who we actually live with. The more time you spend with someone, the more you care about them and what they're going through, whether they're real or not. And the more you identify with what they're going through. And the more protective you are over them and your relationship with them. Of course, when someone's put that much time into something, they won't take kindly to you taking it away or changing it, no matter who owns it. You see, I don't care who made the cake. Once I'm eating it, it's mine. Try to take it away and I will bite you.
You see, the more time we spend in a fiction, the deeper we go into it, and the more blurred that then as reality gets.
And that's it. Deep fiction is a fairly new phenomenon built on ancient aspects of what makes us human at all and what makes us love our stories, but made into something else by the way we've changed how we consume fiction. See, I'm a sci-fi guy, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, that kind of thing, and we're really known for getting wrapped up in our everlasting epic action series and being oh so protective, and some of us go a bit far. But you know, science fiction and fantasy isn't the biggest deep fiction. That title goes to...
Just in case you thought us sci-fi and fantasy fans are just a bunch of weirdos, remember that when a Coronation Street character was sent to jail in the show, it was national news, with fans reacting as if it was real. Real life outrage reflected in real life newspapers. And an entire genre of magazines feature soap news alongside real stories, to the extent where it's difficult to tell which is which.
I mean, look at this. Could you tell which of these is real and which is fictional if you didn't already know? Given that your only contact with any of these people is to read about them in a magazine, do you care which one's real? After all, a good story is a good story. If its impact is real, does it matter if anything else is?
What you may call a property, someone else may take a lot more seriously. And you're a hypocrite if you don't respect that. Fiction isn't just fiction anymore. Advances in entertainment technology and the social developments arising from that have blurred the lines, even more than they were blurred before.
So if you want happy fans, I mean dedicated, enthusiastic participants who feel safe, emotionally connecting to the things that you create because they see you as a safe pair of hands to trust their emotional well-being to. You'll be happy to know there's a simple formula for achieving exactly that. 5 simple rules for a healthy partnership between creators and fans. Step 1, respect the myth. Recognize that the myth holding a culture together is bigger than the creator's property rights. Step 2, know your depth. Remember that people connect deeply to fictional ideas as a matter of course. After a while, fiction becomes deep fiction, subconsciously indistinguishable from reality. So tread carefully, for you tread on our dreams. And as for step 3, seems our time is up. But there's so much more to uncover. We'll delve a little deeper in our next session. So 3 practical ways to ensure that you always respect the myth and always know your depth. Make sure you don't miss it. Our journey's just getting good. Thank you for visiting. Make sure you come back now.